Daryl Morey's comments from this week that kind of pretty much jumpstarts this whole offseason here. So Morey kind of gave some insight this week. So obviously we kind of mentioned it. So we have a long offseason, free agent rumors, trade rumors, resigning rumors, and even a mid-first round pick at this point. So we're going to try and pace ourselves here. So first, we're going to go over Morey's press conference because there were definitely some nuggets there that are worth talking about. First, we'll dive into this one. He said he'll take a better team that needs to be managed to the playoffs over a worse team that is always available, and that he'd choose that 10 out of 10 times. What does that mean to you and for the Sixers as they go hunting this offseason?
Say that again. I kind of lost you.
Yeah, so Morey said that he'd take a better team that needs to be managed to the playoffs over a worse team that is always available, and that he'd choose that 10 out of 10 times. What does that mean to you and for the Sixers as they go hunting for players this offseason?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what it means. His preference. I don't think his preference is maybe the same as everyone. It can compete for a championship every year, however that looks. So I don't really know how to say it in any other context other than that.
So I think if I'm diving into Morey's head and speculating, I think it means we're shooting for the stars when it comes to free agency. I think they'd rather get the best player available, throw out age, throw out injury concerns. When he's at his best, he is the best player available, and then figure it out rather than getting a collection of more reliable day-to-day role players and then figure that out. I think he's thinking we can get the best team assembled, then we can just load manage the hell out of this season with Embiid and whatever older player we get. Especially if he's an injury-prone older player, just really load management and sacrifice eating a bit, right? So if he says, hey, I'd rather our stars be healthy for road playoff games than be battered and injured with a home court advantage, I'd rather have the underseeded healthy star team. I agree.
I mean, it essentially sounds like he likes what we did this past year. Because, I mean, it seemed like we had a lot of managing to do this whole season, and that wasn't really the best. I mean, obviously we have more money to spend for another player this year, but, like, there wasn't kind of a lot of managing because we didn't have everybody available every night, and we saw how that worked out this year. So I don't know.
I think he just goes for biggest name possible, best talent available. Even if he averaged 55 games the last 3 years. I don't think he cares about that. I think he's like, you know what? Just get it and figure it out. This year was more of a punt year. Hopefully we don't replicate that.
If you're getting injury-prone guys, you never know. Okay, so another thing that Morey said during his press conference, he got a lot of attention, was, quote, we have interest in pretty much all of our free agents, and said that's not likely they're all back, and that it's about being helpful within the context of the CBA. What does that mean to you and for the Sixers as they decide on who to keep for this upcoming season from this current roster?
I mean, it means it's called a salary cap, and it's going to be casualties from that. If you're saying you're trying to put yourself in position to win championships consistently, and you're saying you're going to try to go get the best talent available, then that cost, and with that cost, there'll be some decisions that you have to make in letting guys go or renouncing guys' rights in order for that to happen. So I expect that if it does happen, that the team could look very different. Do you go the route of multiple players on nice deals or one big player and a lot of guys on smaller deals? So it remains to be seen, because the one thing that we haven't spoken about is we have to give Maxey a deal also, because we decided not to give him an extension last summer. So that has to be – those numbers have to be added up in there too.
Yeah, I think they're going to just not care about future, at least not this year, but future salary cap. They're like, you know what? We're going to go into luxury tax starting like next season or probably this year, depending on how it shakes out. First thing I thought of when he said that was Morey's trying to be nice and keep good relationships with players and their agents. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have interest in bringing back every single free agent on our team. No specific names in mind. I just don't think I think off the bat, he's probably crossed off names off his board. I mean, let's be honest here. But after all the bad press he had last year with Harden, I don't blame him for playing it a little safer this year and saying the right thing. I think we'll swing for the fences with a big star, sign or trade another like medium-sized contract, and then sign as many of our own free agents as we can. I think luckily we can talk to our own free agents starting after the finals. So that gives us a little time to figure out who's willing to accept vet min, because I think the more players that accept vet min on the team, the more players that will be back next year. I think that's what it'll come down to, because after we suck up all the money on who, if we get one of our big targets, we're not going to be that much money left. And yes, it'll look.
We also got to make a decision on Paul Reed's contract, right? Because we didn't make it to the second round, past the second round, or to the second round.
So he's not guaranteed.
I don't know if it's past or two.
Two.
Yeah.
So he's not guaranteed. So that's another guy. Probably won't be back at that price, I assume, and maybe we'll try to retain again. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they no. There's no way they can.
No.
Take that deal.
So, yeah.
Of the guys that are going to be free agents, which is pretty much everybody.
From the standpoint of going forward, you got to get a new deal. So
yeah. Maybe we could throw him in a sign and trade for Lauri Markkanen. A Paul Reed sign and trade and send him to Utah for Lauri Markkanen and then picks attached to it.
They did want him at some point, right? They signed him to that deal.
Yeah, they were the main competition with us. Of the guys who are going to be free agents, which is pretty much everybody, who do you think would be the top guys from the current team that you'd want back next year, Eric? Who would be like the top three guys you'd want back besides Maxey, obviously? Which I mean, they'll probably hammer out a deal at some point. But who would be the guys that you'd want to bring back? I know,
obviously not including Maxey and Joel. I would say Kelly, Melton, and
tough one. I didn't expect you to go Melton too.
Yeah, the third. Huh?
I didn't expect you to go Melton too.
Well, I said Melton because we got eliminated because we couldn't defend a guard.
That's true. Yeah.
So that still has to be addressed.
Yeah.
I mean, the two guys that started, they're older. I would probably say Campaign.
Okay.
Because he's a guy that's probably going to get for less, and
yes,
and he can play a smaller role with effectiveness.
Yeah. I'd say Kelly, so we're aligned with the number one. I'd say Batum. Third one's tough. Melton just comes down to that back. That's 2.5 years of that same back problem. That worries me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking at it from an injury standpoint, because if that's the case, then we got to start with the head guy. We talking about injuries.
Yeah, well, that's true. We're already locked into that contract, though. There's no renegotiating that one.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, like we can't ignore his injuries, but then and call out everybody else's injuries.
No, it's true. It's true.
So we have to approach it as if the person is going to be who he is.
Okay, then yeah, Melton. I'd say Batum, Kelly, and Melton. Then if we're just doing that.
Yeah, I would say the
realistically, those a little different. I'd say probably Payne's in my realistic list.
Yeah. Yeah, the kind of the consensus on Sixers social media is Kelly. Everybody wants Batum back. Melton's been a little split because of the back issue, which is funny that Eric, what Eric said. It's true. If we're talking about we're talking about injuries for one guy. You got to talk about injuries for everybody. But yeah. But I do want to ask you about one guy. So Morey during his press conference, he mentioned Buddy Hield. And he kind of said something interesting that a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know, weirded out by why he'd be so honest in his I guess his exit presser with everybody to be so honest about Buddy Hield. So I just want to hear what you guys had to say about this one. Quote, at no fault of Buddy's, the fit was less good than I thought. Obviously, most of his time was without Joel, but I thought when Joel was back that his impact and his shooting that he'd get more open shots, and he didn't. What did you think about do you think that pretty much means that Buddy Hield's done in Philly?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. And that may very well be mutual also.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's a shame. But,
I think that, Buddy performed that last game, so you can easily say, and I remember when he first came, I said, no matter when he plays, you have to call plays for him.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be sets. He has to know. You have to do more to get him shots.
Yeah.
And I felt in the game that he played, and in game 6, they did that. They ran plays for him. They ran sets that they didn't run when he wasn't in the game. That drag screen, back screen, he popped, Joel rolled to the block. He got a wide open 3, then Joel got a post up with a foul. The next play. They didn't run that when he wasn't playing. So that's what I was saying. Like, they needed to do some more stuff specifically for him because as we've seen, the Knicks would guard him differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this came in with minutes. And we're playing guys, so I don't know where guys miss shots. Like, it's other guys that miss shots and it didn't impact minutes.
Yep.
Sure. That's all I'm saying. Like, other guys miss shots and still played the next 2 games.
Yep.
So I thought it was a mistake to not give him a shot in the previous games before that. And I said that. I was verbal about that I thought that they should have played him or went to him at least more because, like I said, even if he was not making shots, the Knicks were going to always play him like a guy that's capable of making shots.
Yep.
So that being said, I think that it didn't work, but I don't think it was all on Buddy for why it didn't work. I think it was on Buddy. I think it was on Nurse and not being able to make it happen, not being able to, as you all say, the creative mind that he is, offensive mind, and you can't find a way to get Buddy Hield shots. Like, I don't understand that. I really don't. I don't know. You got a guy that's getting double teamed. You got another guy that's averaging 26 points, and you can't find a way to get a shooter a shot when every other team in the league can find ways to get guys shots. Like, y'all got to help me understand how that's possible.
I felt like his leash was just so short. If he came in there and if he couldn't make a 3 in like a minute and a half, they yanked him. It was like, oh, you're off today. It's like, dude, I mean, you have to give a guy more time than that. That's like giving a running back like 2 carries.
That's what I'm saying. And that's not about him. That's not about him.
Yeah.
So I think it was little things that they didn't like about him or they weren't excited about, and it kind of impacted playing time, whether it was his defense, whether it was whatever it was, because when he first got there, not only was he shooting the ball, but he was making plays off the dribble.
Yeah, he was.
So you go from doing stuff that I didn't really know you were going to do, you kind of did more of what I expected.
Yeah.
And then we're thinking how it's going to compliment Joel, and now Joel starts coming back, and you play less. Like,
yeah.
I didn't get it. I did not. It's not like Joel plays his position. That's what I'm saying. Only Joel came back, and Joel do not play his position. So what's the problem?
And the pickup was.
Now I understand Paul Reed when Joel come back played less, but what does a wing have to do with Joel coming back?
And the Hield pickup was pretty much for Joel's playing time. Like that's what it was.
Well, that's what was assumed. It was assumed it was for him.
I think they were just winging it too much.
Could have been. It could have been assumed, and I think it was more for getting a guy that was a free agent.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just tried it and see if it worked.
So, but it's easy. But look, here's the one thing I'll share with you all. It's easy to pull away from playing a guy that you've already made your mind up you aren't bringing back. It's easy to stop playing that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about pissing him off. You don't have to worry about what his agent going to say. You don't have to worry about anything because you've already said this isn't the guy that we're bringing back.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Pacers and Buddy. They stopped giving him playing time. 2 weeks later, they traded him. He didn't even last the season.
Soon's in no deal. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It was easy. So I think it has something to do with that also.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it right when we signed Kyle Lowry. You're like, watch it. It's gonna impact Buddy's minutes, and it did really. I mean, because right when we got Buddy, he was playing a lot. And he was looking good. I think he was averaging 4.5 assists too on top of everything. And then Kyle Lowry comes and his play time goes like that. So
yeah.
What do you think the likelihood of Lowry coming back? Some Sixers fans really want him to come back, but what do you think the likelihood of that is, Eric?
I can see it. I mean, I believe Kyle still lives in Philly. Correct me on that. I'm not sure if that's where he lives during the offseason. But I can see it. I mean, it kind of depends on what he wants this stage of his career. Like,
Yeah.
I think if he lives there, he may really want that because you have children. They stay in this one house, one school, and it makes it easier from that standpoint. And then you have a coach that you're familiar with. So I think from his perspective, I would imagine that he wants to do it unless, especially if he's ends up being a minimum guy throughout the league, then, stay where you can have, the best situation and the most comfort, be the most comfortable.
Yeah, Sixers fans are mixed feelings on that. They fear that if we have Lowry, then Nurse is going to want to play him as much as he did this year. Obviously, it depends on who we get next year, but that's the fear with a lot of Sixers fans that we're going to continue to give him more minutes than he should be getting. But that's what I've been reading on Twitter.
That's a legitimate concern.
Yeah,
that's a legitimate concern.